Okay, here's a race car update. I know it's been a long time in the coming, and a lot of people have been writing me about it. So I didn't have time to set up the time-lapse camera, but I'll go over what I did. So now we have the right side, this is the left side brace in here, just like the right side. With triangulation in here to sturdy up the subframe. Now this is a little bit different than what some people do. There's a bend in this. Instead of going straight back and tying into the window bar, it comes over at an angle and ties in diagonally into the door bars. I do this because when you plow into the wall at high speed, if it's tied in right about here where you have your brackets for your steering wheel, it can shove it up into your face and injure you badly. So the next step in the front is there's going to be a diagonal brace that goes from about this bend to the center of the window bar here, or the dash bar I should say. And there's going to be another one that goes from here to the dash bar, then a bar that goes straight through the center of the cockpit, of course leaving enough room for the driver, who is Trish. Trish did some work down under the dash here and got rid of the hanging brake pedal, the gas pedal, and a lot of the wiring, and cleaned up the front. She also took out the sway bar out of the front. Now if you were running road course or some more symmetrical type of cars, you would leave the sway bar in, but for oval track and particularly dirt cars, you want the front end to be as buoyant as possible and kind of softer so you can get some weight transfer. We run a lot of cross weight in these cars, so cross weight is where you put a lot of pressure on your left rear tire and your right front tire. Kind of makes your car want to go right when you're going down the straightaway, but you compensate by putting a larger tire on the right rear. So you're scrubbing off a little bit of speed to keep you going straight. But when you go into the corner, you want your front end fairly soft so it rocks over, takes the weight off of your left tire, which is your drive tire, and then some of the weight's going to transfer over to your right tire, which is your bigger stagger tire, and it's going to drive you around the corner. Okay, just a little intermission there, I suppose, some chassis dynamics. Some other stuff that we added in here. There's a bar that goes directly behind the driver. See that going in there. There's a diagonal. Sorry, this is all handy cam stuff. It's a diagonal that goes from above the driver's head by the halo and the roll bar. Diagonal ties in, goes down to the frame on the right side. Also in the back, triangulated the back with these bars. I think I showed that in a previous video. Added a frame rail that comes from the driver's seat up towards the back, clear to the back. So this is very much like a late model car. So this is in a over the axle, overslung, I guess you would call it, frame rail, opposed to the underslung type where this frame rail here would go under the axle. Alright, so that runs to the back and it ties into all this bracing in the back, this diagonal bracing. And then through here, right where that frame rail bends, let's see if I can illustrate that somehow. I'm going to come in here. You see that pipe going up right there. Goes up, makes a 90-degree bend and goes back towards the back bumper. So now there's a lot of triangulation that ties in the two frame rails going to the back. And then also tied from here down to that corner. This is kind of an important part of the car because this is where the rear shock towers are. Another place that's fairly important is right here. This is a leaf spring car, so the shackles are directly below here, so we need that to be very stable and stiff in the car. And other place that needs to be very stiff, and you can see that it's tied in here. Right here is the front leaf spring mount. Alright, so Trish has decided that she's not going to do the pure stock class. She's going to do the street stock class, which means we get to do some more fun things with the car, where we can modify the suspension a bit more than what we were doing last year. So these upper A-arms are going to go away, and we're going to replace those with tubular A-arms, which are more adjustable. The shock is going to be removed from here, and there's going to be a weight jack bolt and a plate that pushes down on the springs that are down in here, and we get to run nice aftermarket springs. And we're going to cut out some relief in the frame in this area so we can run a shock out close to this lower ball joint all the way up to this support, and that'll allow us to, the shocks will be more effective because they're closer to the lower ball joint, and we get to run the nicer shocks on it. There will also be a bar that runs across here which will be bolted in, so you can remove that when you're changing the motor. So I've had a lot of great comments from you guys. Had some totally wacko comments from people that probably watched Top Gear 1 or 2 times. Things like, oh, you shouldn't be MIG welding, you should be arc welding and burning straight through the welds and then just filling it up, just burning up an entire rod into the joints. So it's a interesting suggestion. It's amusing. I look forward to your guys' feedback. A lot more work to be done. A lot of steering, brakes. Another thing she gets to run is a nice dual master cylinder in the car. So she's going to buy all aftermarket brake system for this. So that'll be allow her to adjust front to back brake bias. And then she also gets to run some nice gas pedals. So going to the motor, go through some nice linkage, do some reduction on the gas pedal so that the gas pedal moves farther than production. That way you can modulate the gas a little bit better. And yeah, lots of little tiny diagonal braces. So a lot of the pipes that are going to go into this in the next couple weeks will be probably between like 1.5 to inch in diameter, just for additional bracing. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll give you guys an update when there's more.